welcome to another Paranormal Highway. You know, lately we talked about people who aren't who they seem to be in the communities. You know, kind of like Jerry Corbell, who's more of a gatekeeper, which himself has said he wants to be the guy that all information source goes through.
However, independent journalism, journalists like myself and my mentor, George Knapp, we are the kind of gatekeepers of this information because people see it be lost when they send it up through command. So they're reaching out to us, whistleblowers. And I will also say that there are people on the inside. I know them. They're trying to do the right thing. They're trying to open up what has been covered up. This is not science fiction. This is science fact. This is absolutely 100% true. So what they're doing is they're putting into place Whistleblower Protection Act. So someone like Bob Lazar, he can now go in front of Congress, the Senate Intelligence Committee. He can tell them what he knows about secret programs, and then he'll be protected because they have these reprisal kind of defenses that they built into this in the National Defense Authorization Act of 2023. Biden signed it. It's pretty crazy. So on one hand, you have people saying, oh shit, we can't control this. We need to get ahead of it. On the other hand, you have journalists like me and George, and people leak to us, but we obtain and release footage that is contained within classified briefings, but inherently unclassified.
But if you had your way, if you had, I don't know, magic wand, and somebody says, Eric, I need you to pick a spokesperson for the community. Say you have to. I'm not saying you have to have a spokesperson for a community, but for fun, for this fun, if you had to pick a spokesperson to represent your community, who would that person be? A fellow YouTube channel? An actor? A musician? A senator? Congress? Who would you pick to be your spokesperson for the community? Now, before I bring up my awesome guest and we'll talk about his opinion, I want to hear the word gatekeeper. A lot of people hear the word gatekeeper and a spokesperson, person who you want to represent the community. A gatekeeper and a representation are two totally different things. A spokesperson is a person, in my opinion, is a person who inspires people to get together and talk about UFOs or Bigfoot or paranormal, who, to me, that can get, I don't know, cons together, get groups together in different areas, bring people together where you feel safe. That's what I mean by a spokesperson for a community. A gatekeeper is a little different. Most gatekeepers want all main information to go through them. And if certain channels want to have information, they have to rely that you are the master. You are the main one, and you have baby channels that maybe are connected to you. A gatekeeper wants to be in control, and to the point where a lot of gatekeepers and a lot of communities will crap on other people's findings, even though they're true. It's because it hasn't gone through their group. So a gatekeeper and a spokesperson are two total different things. So I'm going to bring up Ron Mason. We're going to bring up Ron Mason, and we're going to have this fun conversation on you have to pick a person. This is not where nobody is. We're going to have to pick a person. Now, I'll start this, Ron, on if I had to pick a person. You know, there has been people who have tried to be a spokesperson for community. I mean, Tom DeLonge tried, and he came in there with good, he knew he used UFOs, but he got to get the wrong people. If I had to pick one, I'm in more line to, and there's no right or wrong, people. There's no right or wrong in this. I like Dan Aykroyd, and I'm going to tell you why.
I like the crystal head thing because you are kind of curious and interested in that sort of stuff, right? The crystal skulls, and there's been mysticism around your family.
It's entertaining, yes.
Yeah?
Well, my great-grandfather, Sam Aykroyd, who was a dentist in Kingston, was also a psychic researcher. And that's where Ghostbusters comes from. The old farmhouse was where we had seances, and entities would come through, according to my dad and my uncle and my grandmother and grandfather. I never saw any of it, but all that stuff was around sort of subliminally, and we had our own trance medium. He used to go into a trance, his head would go back, and he'd start speaking Mandarin, and he didn't speak Mandarin, he had a grade 12 education.
What role did your mom play in this?
My mom apparently had one, just after I was born, she was nursing me upstairs in the farmhouse, and she kind of woke up and saw a couple standing at the end of the bed, and she cried out for my dad, and then the couple vanished, and then they hauled out an old family album, and it was my great-grandfather Sam and Ellen Jane. They'd come to sort of welcome the baby to the farmhouse. This is her story anyway, and my mom, she's a skeptic. She was a heavy-duty government bureaucratess, so if she told me that story, it's true. I believe my mom.
As you should.
Yeah.
And if you didn't, this
would be a hairbrush
say.
Across the,
That's exactly.
in the old days.
Dan Aykroyd don't push his beliefs on nobody. He comes once in a while, here and there, and he talks about his paranormal and his UFO sightings. And he has a background where his parents were paranormal investigators, so he has a true background. And now, I don't know Dan Aykroyd personally. He could be a jerk behind the scenes, all I know. But what I've seen of him, I think he's a person that people can get together. And he has the connections to have some of these cons and all that. To be able to have some events of people together. Myself, I wish I could be like a spokesperson. I know Ron does, but we have to build our connections. We have to build where, if we wanted to get a con together, events to bring people together, it takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of people to know. And I'm not there yet with those kind of connections, but I wish one day I can be. But for me, Ron, I'm actually going to pick Dan Aykroyd. For me, just think that he'll be a good spokesperson. I think he'll bring people together. And I don't think he would try to crap on people's findings and all that. I think he'll listen, he'll hear. But Ron, if you had to, I mean, there is no right or wrong, but if you had to pick a person who you think would be a good spokesperson for whatever community you want to pick, UFOs, doesn't matter. Let's just say UFOs. Is there a person that you admire that you wish would be more of a spokesperson for the community?
Elon Musk.
But I think this is one of the great questions in physics and philosophy, is where are the aliens? Maybe they're among us. I don't know. Some people think I'm an alien. Not true. Not true.
But maybe we are alien.
Of course, I'd say that.
Maybe we are alien. Do you think we'll make contact with alien within the next 50 years?
Well, that's a really tough one to say. I mean, if there are super intelligent aliens out there, they're probably already observing us. That would seem quite likely, and we just are not smart enough to realize it. But I can do some back-of-the-envelope calculations, and any advanced alien civilization that was at all interested in populating the galaxy, even without exceeding the speed of light, even if you're only moving at, say, 10 or 20% of the speed of light, you could populate the entire galaxy in, let's say, 10 million years. Maybe 20 million years max. This is nothing, in the grand scheme of things.
Elon Musk. You know what? I wasn't expecting Elon Musk, but why? What's Elon Musk do?
What we need, and just so you understand, Dan Aykroyd is a fine choice. There's nothing. I've got nothing bad to say about him. All right, so that was a fine choice. The reason I would pick Elon Musk is a few reasons. We don't need no more BS. Okay, like I know there's people out there that don't like Elon Musk. And there's people out there that love him, but the guy as far as I know, okay, the guy is like all business, straightforward, but not a conceited person that like he's only with higher ups and he only talks with everybody and anybody. He has the means to also help out the community and get into things, and he has major contacts. All right,
and that's important.
Major contacts, because money is one thing, but that's not everything. Okay, but the ins that he has with governments and all kind of stuff, but you can see on as of his recent display of, like, let's call it the Twitter files or this and that, he doesn't have no problem exposing either side, or he doesn't like fall into the political trap of this or that. I think he's a pretty honest guy, as much as you can expect from somebody that has a lot of connections. And and he's a brilliant person. This guy's really smart, man. And people actually listen to him. I was thinking Joe Rogan for a minute.
Do you know the story about the house that he had built to look like a UFO?
Who?
Jackie Gleason.
Are you serious?
Jackie Gleason was friends with Nixon. And Jackie Gleason and Nixon, legend has, they were drinking one night, and Nixon says, "You want to see a UFO?" And he takes Jackie Gleason to some hangar where they have a crashed UFO.
Yeah, I heard
and he
that
shows
too.
it to him.
He showed
and
them
so
the alien too?
Jackie Gleason gets a fucking house built in the shape of a UFO. It's in New York State. And it was for sale at one point in time. I can't believe I didn't know it was for sale until somebody bought it.
So you believe in UFOs? You believe that the government's hiding stuff from us? Kinda?
I don't disbelieve.
don't
I don't
disbelieve.
believe.
I don't disbelieve it.
I don't disbelieve, but I don't believe.
Listen,
But you know what? Joe Rogan could be more biased, like, because he probably has his own thoughts already. But Elon Musk, I've noticed, even when he has his own opinions on something, when it comes to addressing it to the public or whatever, he kind of is able to put those to the side and just present whatever facts that are there. So
I love those names because they're very interesting. And I actually going to continue on this for a second because I want to touch on what you said. You're right. Elon Musk and Joe Rogan are probably the two people that it's the weirdest thing. People either love them or they hate them. And I'm always wondering, is it because they're jealous of the amount of money that Elon Musk has? I mean, do they feel like he doesn't deserve to be the spokesperson because of the money? Because money shouldn't be everything on why you like somebody or not like somebody. But why is there hate towards Elon Musk?
I think I could tell you. Of course, there's people out there that will envy and be jealous of his money. Yes, but I don't believe
say there's going to be people like that. Even with Dan Aykroyd, he's an actor. He's Hollywood.
Oh, there's always going to be something. I mean, there are people that are jealous of Rogan money and this money and Elon Musk money. But what, unfortunately, in the times we live in, everything is political. If you're not this side, you're that side. And if you're that side, you're not this side. And that's how people either like you or don't like you these days, depending on what side of the aisle you fall on. Like that. And that's just a fact these days. People could deny that, but I think they know it's the truth. So basically, let's put it this way. So Elon Musk, right? Me, I like to find myself. I don't like doing the whole politics thing anymore online and all that. But
I agree.
I'm a person that, look, do right by the people, get stuff done for the country. If you're on the left, fine. If you're on the right, fine. Just get it done for us. So what happened with Elon? Elon was a more lean towards the left at a point, right? And people on the right, some liked him, a lot didn't like him at all. Then all of a sudden, he buys Twitter, and now he says, he starts seeing things, and he says, that's it. Like, I'm going to vote Republican from now on. This is what he says, right? Doesn't mean that he's going to. He says a lot of goofing stuff he tweets
Yes,
out.
he does.
Right, all the time, and everybody takes the bait. But what happened? all those people that loved him now hated him. And all the people that hated him now loved him. Like that. So now he had a split going on again. And it didn't matter what he was exposing, what he has done, all the homes he gave up, like, because he said, I'm rich, but I don't need to have these many, and all that. That didn't matter anymore. It became, what? You're that side. You're against us now. So, but here's the thing, though, with Elon Musk. Putting the politics stuff aside, they still all listen to him. He still has a platform, and I don't mean, because he owns Twitter. I mean, he has that bully pulpit where when he speaks, even the people that don't like him listen.
Because you have to say, like, where are the aliens? You know, it's like the Fermi paradox. Where are the aliens? If the universe is 13.8 billion years old, shouldn't they be everywhere by now? And I'm not aware of any evidence for aliens. People ask me about that too. Where are the aliens? I'm like, man, if anyone would know about evidence of aliens, it would be me. And I've seen nothing. So I think it may have been Carl Sagan who said, there's, like, we're either alone in the galaxy, or there are a lot of aliens, and each answer is arguably equally terrifying. It's like, hey, we found aliens are on their way. Too bad it's the invasion fleet. I don't know. It's like, where are the aliens? Like, maybe there aren't any in this galaxy, and maybe what we have here is a very, very rare situation. A brief flickering of consciousness in the dark, like a little candle in a vast darkness, and we should not let that little candle go out.
You know what I mean? And that's why. And he's a results-oriented person. Doesn't like. Yeah, he's a little wacky at times, but I think we all are, and that's what we need. We don't need a robot. You know. I mean, I personally think he not saying he is the best, but I think he would be a great choice.
This is great because I finally get to ask somebody this question. Is it because I can't? There's in the past I could never ask anybody a question because there's one thing about Elon Musk that everybody's saying he hoaxed. Everybody, and I want to get a science point of view from you. Everybody says he hoaxed putting a Tesla car in space. There is no Tesla car in space. Some people say because you can't because the oil in the wheels explode. I mean, I've heard everything. So I'm just going to ask you: is there a Tesla in space?
You don't think anybody's like when SpaceX shoots rockets off into space, or when Amazon has a rocket company now, these guys are going to be able to launch satellites? And
I just need proof. It may be real, it may not be real, but I need some proof. I need some irrefutable evidence. Otherwise, why do I have to believe it? When he claimed to launch a Tesla, did you see that footage?
The actual Tesla in space?
Yes,
I saw that.
You can't just buy that, dude. The first thing Elon Musk said on his press conference, well, I think it's impossible and ridiculous. You can tell it's real because it looks so fake. That's the opposite of logic. There's no explanation. I need evidence. When you see that Tesla that they launched and you see how fake it looks.
But just because something doesn't look real doesn't mean it's fake.
But it doesn't mean it's real.
I believe so. Yeah. That's like, first of all,
Trust me. They say that's a hoax. That's all a lie.
They say the Earth's flat.
I know.
Okay. Yeah. But here's the thing, like just with the tire thing. So if the tires would explode, don't send them up without air in the tires.
I can't remember. They don't need air in the tires. Saying there's something on a car that will change dramatically once it's in space. I can't remember what it was, and it was the main reason why there wasn't a car in space. And I'm like, and I never really care. I'm like, car in space or not?
I mean, is it possible that it was hoaxed? I guess you could say sure, because I haven't watched it with a telescope or anything. But from what I understand, I believe there is one. And why you can't. And here's the thing too about because let's say paint would chip, because you got to remember in the shade it's like minus 250 degrees Fahrenheit, right, and more. In the sun, it's like double that and go forward, right? Plus 250 degrees Fahrenheit or 400. You would think with the elements, but what was like he has Tesla and he has SpaceX. He has a space company. What do you think? They don't treat things? They don't have stuff that they treat this stuff, the paint and everything? Special kind of paint that they use? The tools that they use. You ever notice, like, why don't they use regular tools like we use? Why do their tools always have to look so crazy and steel and all this?
That's a good point.
Little wire cutter here, you know. And you look at the top of it there, it's just like something you'd find in a hardware store for cutting wire. But you got these big fat space gloves on, so you wouldn't be able to work a small wire tool. So you give this big handle on it so you can work with big fat space gloves.
Because of vacuum of space, the elements up there are just devastating. Space is beautiful, what we see, but space is nasty. Space is nasty.
And another thing, people, I think they hate Elon, they hate Bezos because, you know, they're the ones that has their space companies going up there and they're like billionaires playing with space and all this. And I remember, I can't remember who I listened to. One guy made a good point. Listen, now you got the private sector doing space projects, building your own space shuttles. All that's going to do is increase going to space faster, exploring faster. Because once you get the private sector in, it's a good thing.
You
but
got competition.
Like a lot of people think it's a bad thing because it's just billionaires playing with toys.
No. See, that's the thing about capitalism. Okay, I know a lot of people don't like capitalism, but the thing is, when you open it up to the private sector, now you create competition. Okay? So what happens with competition? It's not about everybody thinks about, oh, the lowest price. No. When it comes to this kind of stuff, yes, price is a factor, but it's also the technology.
The breakthrough.
So now, when they say, okay, they know there's a bottom. They know of pricing that they can't go below, otherwise they would lose money. So once they hit that bottom, now it becomes, what can we create that will be the defining factor, right? Because let's just say they both price at the same amount. Let's just say SpaceX versus Blue Origin, Amazon and Musk. So if they both say, okay, each launch is $50 million, that's the lowest they can possibly go. So how do they pick now if it goes by technology like that? And that's where innovation comes out of, and that's how things get invented. And, you know, and like, look what Elon has done with SpaceX with he's basically NASA's taxi now.
And the addition of big names like Elon Musk, you've got Jeff Bezos entering the race. How have things changed?
Competition is increasing. Competition
is good.
Yes, competition is good because it shakes the market and it shakes the business, and you have to move. On our side, what we have decided in Europe, we are going to have in operation a new rocket. The name of this rocket is Ariane 6 because it's a family of Ariane, which has begun with Ariane 1, and now it will be Ariane 6. Ariane 6 will be 40% cheaper as opposed to Ariane 5, our current rocket. It will be fully adapted to the whole market, and especially broadband market and constellations.
You know what I mean? They depend more on SpaceX than any other company. Now, I was one that was talking about these guys playing with their toys, but the reason was, and I don't want to throw this all off, but the reason was when they were doing it. How they were all doing it at the same time. There was a whole thing of events going on that I don't just take it blindly for like, oh, that's just to put rides up into space. Like, I think everybody tests them, but I don't want to get into some conspiracy stuff. But I think I like Elon. Bezos, I don't know. I don't think they've kind of made it to space, we'll say it that way, but I don't know about that.
I know it is weird because you can see Elon and he cares more about it, I think, than Bezos does. Honestly, I don't know what he cares about, or does he just want the name that he's been in space? Was it more for that than what Elon's trying to build, like a technology base? He wants to
I think it was another multi-billionaire that seen somebody doing it and just said, "Oh no, I want a piece of that." And why? Because he could. He has the means to do it.
Means. And
you know what I mean? And
they're known for technology themselves. They want to create the technology.
SpaceX is not just helping out American companies. Look, they've helped South Korea. All they going to the moon. A lot has gone. SpaceX is contracted around the world. They're an actual space company. People still look at SpaceX as some little toy company or something that you have no idea how big they are and what they do. You know, and that's why I like Elon. Imagine this. When I picked Elon, I'm sorry, I keep doing that. I got to get used to this setup. When I picked Elon before, just think about it. When's Tesla? SpaceX. I just bought Twitter, and everything he does just gets better. It gets better. Sure, his so-called wealth from the richest man, $280 billion. Now he's worth 100 and something. Yeah, it's because the stock dropped. That's why he doesn't have $280 billion of cash on hand.
No.
That's all stocks and all
That's
that.
what the company's worth.
Exactly. But the guy, you know, I think maybe one day maybe with you, I'll work on something, do like kind of a tech thing on Elon, just to show like his whole background. Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the third guy you brought up too, Joe Rogan. He's another guy I noticed that people either like him or they hate him. And I'm always wondering, do they hate him because they're jealous because he...
It's bizarre how far he's deteriorated. And when I was talking about it during the election, and people were like, I was actually talking about it with Eric Weinstein, and he was like, I can't vote for Biden. And he goes, I can't vote for Trump. And I go, I would vote for Trump before I'd vote for Biden. Just because I think with Biden, like, he's gone. Like, he's gone. You're going to be relying on his cabinet. And I knew his cabinet would be this sideshow of diversity, and which is exactly what it is.
Made it to the top, and they're not. I don't know.
I'll tell you another thing, and again, of course, this is my opinion.
Yeah.
This is a big reason. Like even Jim Goodall says this. I thought Jim Goodall was maybe my adopted father from another life because I see him agree on so much stuff. A lot of people hate me for this same reason, and this is why they don't like Rogan. Yeah, there's people jealous of his money, absolutely. And it also goes by, they're not sure where he leans. Usually leans left, right, but let's forget the political stuff. You know what people really don't like, and they say they do? The truth. And that's what he gives. He gives an honest opinion, a conversation, and that's why people don't know where he's coming from, Joe Rogan, at times, because, like, he speaks as a devil's advocate. In other words, if he feels he's asking something, you say it, then he'll say, yeah, but what about this? And you'll be thinking like, wait, aren't you for it or you're against it? He just likes asking questions that has an honest conversation and then gives you his honest opinion. People could say, oh, I just want the truth. I just want you to be honest. Sometimes honest can be brutal. And that's what he gives. He just speaks honestly. And I think people get offended. Let me correct that. Not everybody. I can't make a blanket statement like that. But people, I believe, think he's dissing them or like stepping on them, but he's just being honest, giving his honest opinion and addressing what the question or the circumstance is at the time.
Honestly, I don't watch a lot of, I don't listen to a lot of Joe Rogan. I see clips when they're on YouTube, when like he talks to Tom DeLonge, the big ones, they always put clips out. So I've seen those. I never really watched the full thing. And there's nothing wrong with him playing devil's advocate because that's how you get your answers. I just saw recently an interview between Russell Brand and Jeremy Corbell. And one of the things I was most upset about that interview is Russell Brand has been known almost like I forgot the other guy's name already. Joe Rogan. Ask both sides questions. And that's what you want. You're not favoring one side, you're favoring both. But For whatever reason on that interview, he never questioned the other side with Jeremy Corbell, and I never understood that. Like he just, it was almost like it was more of a pat on the back, like, hey, I'm going to help you out. People are bashing you a lot. I'm going to help you out.
I grew up on things like Roswell, Bob Lazar, Bob Exlar, those whistleblowers, people that understood like extraterrestrial technology. Those things like Timothy Good, Eric von Daniken. This like world fascinated me because I knew there was something significant in it. But it surprises me. It surprises me to hear the kind of sources that I've always been cynical about, skeptical of, talking about them. You know, like we were talking the production team here about how, like in a lot of your appearances on media, you'll go, now it's Jeremy Corbell, and they use the X-Files music. Yeah. They kind of position it as almost as a now finally story.
What was that, with the Russell Brand, you mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, Russell Brand was never questioning, playing devil's advocate with him. It was all
giving him
like,
softball questions and all that.
Softball. It was all like hugs, and I'm like, I didn't like that. I'm like, you know, at least the other guy, Rogan, would ask, what people are saying this about you. How do you respond to this? I didn't get none of that with Russell Brand. I was disappointed because I saw Russell Brand do interviews and he would go after what everybody is saying, but he did not with them. And I didn't know why.
And let me tell you,
I was shocked. I was shocked.
And let me tell you something, right? Because when you brought up Joe, now I just want to make sure I'm clear on this so nobody thinks I'm trying to name drop or be cool. But I've hung out with Joe Rogan on multiple occasions, and the reason this is probably maybe 8-9 years ago, he's a really good pool player, okay? And some of my good friends are best friends with him. And he came to New York and was hanging out with us in Amsterdam, billiards, and we all chilled out. We went to dinner one night and everything, and we all drinking, getting whatever, and hung out with him a few times. Now, I'm not claiming, oh, he's a friend of mine, and we're buddy, and I call. No, that's not what I'm saying. We hung out, met a few times, and he's a cool guy. But what you see on the podcast is what you see in regular life. He's just normal dude, funny as hell. Yeah. The guy is funny. You gotta. The stuff he says off this is insane, but he's a really good dude. He's a health freak. He's a freak of nature at his age and everything.
And I always think the best way to outperform everybody in your business, or at least keep up in very competitive business, and Joe Rogan is a beautiful example of this, is to take excellent care of your health. Yeah. 3 or 4 4-hour podcasts a week, plus the comedy. It's superhuman. Yeah. Plus UFC. People who are really good at their craft invest in taking really good care of themselves.
He's honest. Russell Brand. Here's something with Russell Brand. Russell Brand, from what I see, seems like a really, really intelligent person. Really smart guy.
He does his research, what I've seen.
You could do research, but even what he says and speaks, you can't memorize that. The guy's intelligent.
That's
right?
What I mean. Yes, I agree.
He has a pretty high IQ. He's intelligent, right? So we got that. But I find he can go where the wind blows.
Yes.
That's the thing about him. Like, if stuff starts becoming negative on this, he'll drift away from that or either now support it. And if it gets negative, now he's against it. But he does it in a subtle way.
So this does involve the deep state. It does involve the military-industrial complex. If there are extraterrestrial technologies, if there are materials, substances, ideas that can be utilized for profit and for power, of course they're going to find their way into the hands of the most powerful interests on Earth.
But I still will watch him because it's not that black and white with him, like he's that biased and then not biased. But that stuff, like with Jeremy Corbell, like with a gatekeeper, like who's he to expect? Being a gatekeeper is like the one that controls everything. Yeah. But it's like a bouncer. You got to go through him.
And he said that. He goes, I want all information to go through me. He said it.
I'm going to be honest. I did not watch that interview. I just can't. Because the guy brings nothing to this. All right. He's a joke. All right. Now, some will say, well, but he does give exposure and lets the public outside of ufology, like he does. No, he doesn't. For what? Maybe that news segment.
to the goodies, which is the actual craft of unknown origin, not from planet Earth, as the New York Times reported correctly, which is odd that they reported anything correctly. But there we go. As soon as we get close to that, they're going to try to lock it back down. And I've already seen it. Companies like Lockheed, Boeing, Raytheon, they're all looking how to obscure this information so they don't get busted in the crime of covering it up from the first place.
And they just see some guy going, yeah, we're shooting him down. And people at home are probably eating dinner going, oh, turn that, honey. Who's this crackpot over here? You know what I mean? Like, who is he? What qualifies him? People leaking videos to you does not qualify you as a UFO expert. Who's a UFO expert? Maybe a historian, people could call themselves. But how can you anybody call themselves a UFO expert and not have any pictures or any actual evidence of a UFO? But he's an expert at them. You know,
and I question on people who he says are leaking stuff, because if there was a true leak, they'll be in Russia. I'm sorry.
No,
They'll get caught.
But here's the thing, Eric. There really was leaks, because let's go real quick back to before the first UAP report in 2021. Remember, Jeremy was releasing videos that he says was leaked, like was given to him for people on the USS Russel and the other ones. Well, the Pentagon confirmed that those videos were filmed by their personnel, the Snoopy teams. They confirmed that. Now, they wouldn't comment on what was in the videos, but they did say, yes, those are authentic videos that were filmed by Navy personnel. I did a FOIA even on it, asking, has there been an investigation into this leak? Nope. And they checked 5 ships for me. I shared that recently with you guys. I shown the FOIA. The Freedom of Information Act, anybody who's not familiar with FOIA. So you have a person going all over TV, even on TMZ, showing videos that were leaked to him that the DOD has confirmed, the Pentagon confirmed, yet the Pentagon hasn't said one word about any of that. And it turns out all of those, again, I'm so sorry, everybody. Again, that they were drones. Now, there's people out there that are going to still say, no, that's not true, because the Snoopy teams, Corbell put those videos out. He muted them. The actual videos, without being muted, you hear the personnel, the Snoopy team, as they're filming, saying, yes, the time is 2200. I'm just paraphrasing, 2200. I don't know what time exactly it was. 2200. Snoopy team, blah, blah, blah. Yes, we have a UAV, blah, blah, blah. And there's a drone and this and that and like that. So they actually, even in the deck logs, they wrote down drone, UAV, unidentified aerial vehicle, or an unmanned aerial vehicle. Unmanned aerial system, UAS. That's why everybody just thinks U means unidentified. No, it doesn't. There's different, this is why I hate their acronyms, because they get to choose which one they meant at the time. But when they say unidentified, that doesn't mean off-world. Unidentified means we have this drone, we're not sure if it came from an adversary, and if it did, which adversary. So that makes it unidentified. That doesn't mean the craft, they don't know what kind of craft it is.
There's been an explosion of public interest in UFOs. What are you thinking about this?
The moment this began, people started texting me, is this War of the Worlds? The answer is no. We know there are Chinese spy balloons. This is something that has been happening for decades. So what we're dealing with is the media all of a sudden grabbing on to these very specific words and terminology, just trying to make everybody feel like this is a new thing. If we care about security, we would deal with the hacks to our cell phones before we would even care about a balloon. balloon enough to shoot it down on national television with a missile, which we barely hit, by the way.
And how do the pilot descriptions, how do those match up with previous reports and sightings?
What pilots are seeing and saying now with these particular events, it is not as extraordinary as what we have heard from, like, let's say, Commander David Fravor, Commander Underwood, Lieutenant Ryan Graves. What we're seeing is really nothing that I see as particularly anomalous.
They don't know who it was from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah, and that's why Jeremy can never be a spokesperson, because he doesn't even own up when they find out what it really is. He just skips it like, nope, I said my piece. Oh, it's that now? Oh, does it go back and say,
he's too self-promotional. He's too self-promotional for himself.
He can't say I'm wrong. I guarantee, I bet you Elon Musk and Dan Aykroyd, if they're wrong about something, they will come out and say, hey, I was wrong on that one.
They have.
They have.
Dan Aykroyd has done that in the past.
Joe Rogan has too.
Yeah, Joe Rogan has too. Yep. Joe
and that's
Rogan
what I love about them. And I just want to say, Ron, this is an awesome conversation. We're going to have to do a whole show one day on a total breakdown on Elon Musk's career and stuff, what he's done.
I would love to
get more of a clarity to people, because there's too many people that are in the middle, like they either like them or they hate them. And before you like or hate somebody, you should want to learn everything about them first. Then just don't jump on a bandwagon on this half of friends or this half of friends, you know? So
yeah.
I'll give my final thoughts, people. And I want to thank Ron for being here. I'll give my final thoughts. I honestly, people, this is what I love about doing this kind of a show, kind of like this, because I never told Ron what the topic was at all until we did the show. And by doing that, you get more raw and real answers. I never thought I would, if you would ask me what would be on Ron's top 10 of people to name, Elon Musk would never been on there. I wouldn't even think Joe Rogan would have been on there. But it was, and that's the beauty of it. And then, you know, hearing that and questions I always wanted to ask, but I couldn't, because every time I talk to somebody else, they all hated Elon Musk. And so if I even bring up the Tesla, oh my God, it's going one way. I want to hear all sides. So to have Ron on there and to give me the all sides just got me so excited. And guys, we're not bashing on, maybe Jeremy we're bashing on, you know, even if you people think I was saying something bad about Russell Brand, I'm not. I'm very entertained by Russell Brand. I watch his videos. I love when he did interviews and he questions everybody on there. But why this? Like Ron's saying, he's not scripted. He's very intelligent, ask questions. It's just when he had Jeremy Corbell on, he didn't ask none of those. It was more like Ron saying, like, I got you, buddy. I got you on this one. That's not what I want to see. Ask the hard questions. Ask the questions of what people are saying. Because how are we ever going to get a true answer if you don't ask those? So I didn't appreciate that. You know, you shouldn't pick and choose who you want to be, who you want to throw a softball to or a hardball to. If you ask people to be interviewed, you got to be one way. And one thing about Joe Rogan, I will say, he is one way. He will ask everything. I agreed with 100% with Ron on Joe Rogan, you know, and I do need to listen to more Rogan, but we only got so much time in the day to do any of this, so it's hard to listen to everybody. But I just want to say I want to thank you guys for being here today, listening to this. Please subscribe to my channel, Paranormal Highway. Please subscribe to Cosmic Neighbors. He's such an intelligent person, and I love his point of view. And the best thing is nobody's pushing any beliefs on anybody. It's still up to you at the end of the day. But overall, let me just say one thing. I hope to see you all on the Paranormal Highway.
Truth is that when I came into office, I asked, right? I was like, all right, you know, is there the lab somewhere where we're keeping the alien specimens in spaceship? You know, they did a little bit of research, and the answer was no.
But that doesn't mean we're alone in the universe.
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are.
And now that UFOs are being taken more seriously, more people are coming forward with their own sightings. Shaquille O'Neal told Jimmy Kimmel he's certain he's seen a UFO.
With all the lights, and it was spinning, and it just and took off, and everything happened in less than 5 seconds, and we all looked at each other, was like, and I know that it was a UFO. I don't care what anybody says.
You never told anybody about that?
Nope, you're the first person I told, because I don't want people to think I'm crazy. But
right.